Hi everyone. I'm going to be showing you now how to propose an occurrence of your course. Now some of you may not fully understand what that word occurrence means for TTA, so let me try to briefly explain. So a product or a course contains some content. So let's, for example, say there's a product on motivating Year 9 geography students. That product can be approved, then it needs to have a format. So it may be delivered as a face-to-face workshop or an online workshop. So that's the product and the format. What we then have is the occurrence. So once the product is approved in a particular format, then when it happens, that's the occurrence. So hopefully you've now got an approved course in a particular format, and you're going to be going the next step of proposing an occurrence of that course. An occurrence will happen on a particular date. So let's jump in and have a go. So first thing you're going to do once you're logged in is click on My Products. That will get you to this screen. You can see the products you've got. Click on the product that you want to propose an occurrence for, and you'll see a dashboard for that product. On that dashboard you're going to see the formats that are approved. So I've got this particular one approved for an after-school session format, and I've also got it approved for webinar. So first off, we're going to do a face-to-face after-school session. So I'm going to click on Manage Occurrences, and it's going to bring up a little dashboard again which shows what's going on with my occurrences. I can see here that I already have some occurrences, some deleted, some draft, etc. You can see the format down the right hand side over here. Now if I click on the green, it's going to enable me to propose an occurrence. One thing to keep in mind at this point, if you make a mistake or something goes wrong, get in touch with us. Don't just keep proposing occurrences, because you can't actually delete them. So better, if you've made a mistake, just give us a call or an email and we can patch that up. So let's go ahead and click on Propose an Occurrence. We'll get to this screen here where we fill in some occurrence details. So it's going to ask us for the store. So for a face-to-face course, this will be the state that your course is approved to run in and where this particular occurrence is going to happen. And right up straight away we get onto start date. So start date, if it's a one-day course, then start date is the date of the course. There are some courses that go for more than one day, so this would be the first day if that's the case. Now before I select my date for my course, what I'm going to do is have a look at the critical dates calendar. This is really going to help you to select the date for your course. So let's open up another website here. Let's go to the TTA homepage and click on Presenter Support. It's going to take us through to the Presenter Support channel, where we have some deadlines and some information, some helpful videos. This should be where you found this video. And then further down we have the critical dates calendar. This is really important. We've put a lot of thought into helping you to pick dates that will work well. So you can see there's different colours. So the darker blue up here is the school holidays. The red are the public holidays. Black is like school term time, but we tend to try not to run any courses in those black weeks. Orange is early on in the term, where we would only put a course if it had been marketed quite a long time before. So you can read on the edge there, it says 2 terms marketing is required for course run in week 2 to week 5 of term 1. So the lighter blue is the weekends, and the white area, that's what you're looking for. That's our sort of target zone for your occurrences. So this will help you to pick the days that will suit your occurrence. Now if it's a brand new course, I would suggest pick one date in term 1 and one date in term 2 as a good place to start. If you put too many, it's quite a lot of work that goes into organising the events, booking venues and caterers and so forth. So we don't really want to go cancelling events, so just put in one of each. But anyway, we've picked a date. We're now back here, and we can select the date that you've chosen for your course. So maybe it's going to be later on in March, the 30th, for instance. Okay, next box, minimum enrollments. Now this is basically, it's your commitment to us that you will go ahead and run the course if we get this minimum level of enrollments. So we, particularly with new courses, we like to encourage presenters to run with a very small number, because it gives you a chance to experiment with your course, and it also means the course runs, which means you get the feedback, you get to hear from people about your course to improve your course. So we suggest generally a minimum of 3, and we will be happy to go ahead and run a course with a minimum of 3. Also, to help out presenters, we guarantee for a one-day face-to-face course, we'll actually pay you a minimum of $450 for that course, even if you only get 3 participants. So generally for a one-day face-to-face, it would be $100 per participant, but for if you only get 3, then we'll pay you a minimum of $450. So please try to keep those minimums down. Otherwise, particularly for new courses, it's just too difficult to get the numbers, and we end up cancelling courses, which is discouraging for the participants, for the presenter, and for us. So sometimes it takes time to build your audience, so it can be a good thing to start small. Maximum enrollments. So this is the number at which, if you go beyond this number, the quality of your course is going to suffer. So maybe it's 20. Maybe if you had 21, it's going to be hard to handle. Maybe this will go up as you have run the course more. Maybe early on you want to cap this at 10 or 15 until you really get your confidence. So that's really going to be determined by you. What's the maximum number that you would be happy to have in that course? Okay, we're making good ground. Let's move on to the next spot, which is venue. Now there's 3 options here. I would like to suggest a new venue. So you're probably going to pick this option if you want to run your course in a particular venue. Maybe it's your school and it's all set up. Maybe there's some compelling reason why you want to use a particular venue. If that's the case, give us as many details as you can. The name, address, contact details, even the price, everything you know about that venue, and we will go ahead and contact them and set that up. The next option there is, I would like to use a venue that I've used before. So if this is not your first occurrence, then it's going to pre-populate with any occurrences that you've used before, and you can just select them from the drop-down menu. And the next option is, I need help selecting a venue. So I'm thinking most of you will probably choose this one for your first occurrence, and then you're going to pick the region. So I'm going to go for Sydney CBD for this one, but you pick the location where you'd like to run the course, and then we get to this next spot where you're going to tell us your venue preferences. Okay, this one we're going to pause and take our time. There's a few things to consider here. Firstly, this is a spot where you can tell us at TTA everything you want to tell us about the kind of venue that you will be requiring. So some of the things that you might talk about here are internet connection. Do you need one? Is it just for you? Do you need it for the participants? Do you need it for the whole day or just part of the day? Computers. Do the participants need to have computers? Maybe they'll be bringing their own computers. If you need computers at the venue, do they need any particular software on them to be preloaded? Now there's a what to bring section, which is actually back in your course proposal. So if there's things that the participants need to bring and you've only just remembered it now, then duck back into your course proposal and put those what to bring items in there. Next thing you might want to mention is space. So what kind of layout are you hoping for? Is it a normal classroom arrangement? Is it in a U shape? Do you need a sink? Maybe you want floorboards or you want carpet. Maybe you want it on the ground floor or up on not on the ground floor for some reason. Maybe you need some particular equipment like a piano or a printing press. Anything that's going to be required for your course in the room, then jot it down here. Okay. Then we've got catering. So typically we will have coffee and tea on arrival. That's what we aim for, and we can't always get that in every venue, but that's what we aim for. And morning tea and lunch will be supplied. So this is anything other than those normal things. So perhaps you need some extra water because it's a drama course and everybody's going to be very active or something like that. Any particular extra catering preferences that you might need. And we're done with venue and catering. So next we get to extra info, and it says here, this may include your extra expenses. So this can get a little confusing, so I'm going to try to make it as simple as I can. Bear with me here. So there's two different types of expenses, and they're dealt with separately. The first is out-of-pocket expenses under $50. So you may have to drive to a particular venue and they charge you for parking and that costs $25. For under $50 expenses, out-of-pocket expenses on a course, you can just submit your normal invoice to TTA and just add that extra docket to us. So send us a copy of that docket and we'll reimburse you for that up to $50. So that's the first way that we deal with out-of-pocket expenses. If it's going to be more than $50, then we have a very different way of dealing with that. So let me try to explain that. What we do is we actually ask you to estimate what that cost will be and then to average that cost across the participants. So let's take an example, and then that gets added to your the price you're paid per participant. So let's say, for example, you are actually going interstate. And might I add here, this is not very many of you. So for most of you, this will not be relevant. But so that it's clear, if you were going to be going interstate and you were going to have flights and accommodation attached to your course costs, then you're going to have to do a calculation. You're going to have to estimate what that will all cost. Let's say you end up finding that that's $300. You're then going to have to estimate the number of participants that you're going to have at your course. Let's say you estimate that there's going to be 10 participants at your course. So those 10 participants are going to have to cover that $300. So that's going to mean an extra $30 per participant to cover that cost. What we will then do, so you will do that calculation for us. We will then add $30 to the price of the course, and we will add $30 to the price that you get paid per head. So instead of getting $100 per head, you're now going to get $130 per head, and the participants are going to cover that. So if you end up with less than 8 people on the course, then your expenses are not going to be quite covered. If you end up with a few more than 10, then they will be more than covered. So it averages out. So if you've got any questions about that, ask, get in touch, because it can be a little confusing. So once we've popped in that information, we can just hit save. And that's going to take us through to another page. And we're nearly there. So it's pre-populated with the date we've chosen for our course, and now we need to think about start and finish time. If you're not certain about the start time, we suggest 9:30. That seems to give people time to get there, get parking, get into the event. Keeping in mind that most of your participants will be teachers who are used to running on certain timelines, and we tend to suggest a finish time of 4 o'clock. That means that people can get away onto their next events. If you make it much later than that, you might find that you have people leaving anyway, which can be disruptive. So 9:30 to 4 seems to work well. Now, required room style. This seems like a repeat here of what we did on the last page, but this is really just a short summary. So, you know, classroom style. Just something very short, because this actually goes through to the venue. So we've now so when we've selected the venue to have all the kind of things that you want, this is just shorthand for that. So yeah, classroom style, workshop, something like that. Then we have required resources. So I've popped in here Wi-Fi and projector. Anything that you need to remind the venue that you need to have at your course, pop it in here. And then Before I hit save, just let me mention this down here, add a day for multi-day occurrences. The vast majority of you will not hit that. That is for multi-day courses. So if you have a course that runs for 4 days, then you will add each extra day separately. If your course only runs for 1 day, then you don't need to click on that. If you want to add another occurrence, then that's a brand new occurrence, not another day. So then we hit save, and we're almost there. The final step now is to submit for review. So at the moment, this is just a draft. Once I submit it for review, so I can continue to edit it. Once I submit it for review, I'm going to get a thank you note on the top of my screen, and I'm going to see it's going to come up as a pending occurrence. Now, if I go back to my dashboard, so I've now done what I need to do, and I've got a new occurrence, a face-to-face occurrence pending. So the TTA staff will get notification of that, and they'll then go ahead and organise the venue and the catering and put the price against the course, etc., etc. And then that course will eventually go live on the website. What if you were to have an online version that you wanted to create? So let's go through that next. So we would click on Manage Occurrences again, and we would propose an occurrence exactly the same. This is actually a little easier doing the online one. So once again, we pick the start date. So remember, you're going to go back to the critical dates calendar to pick your start date, which is not so important for online. But still, I would go with those critical dates. Minimum enrollments, for a lot of people, they will even go with 1 online, but that's up to you to select what would be the minimum number of enrollments that you would want to take. Let me put in my March date again. This one I'll do March 28th. Any extra information, again, this is for expenses mainly, which are not going to be relevant for online courses, so you're probably going to leave this blank, but if you want to message anything to us, then that's the spot to pop it. We save that, and then if it's a multi-day event, add your extra days. Otherwise, if it's a typical online event, you won't be adding any extra days. Then we hit save and submit for review, and it's done. So there, we've done it. We've got a pending face-to-face and a pending online. I can go back to my dashboard now. So to wrap up, a couple of things we mentioned already. One, you cannot delete once you have submitted for approval. So if you've submitted something and it's got a mistake in it, just let us know. Multi-day, please don't hit multi-day unless it is actually a multi-day course. If you notice that one of your occurrences is coming up as draft, that means it's not yet submitted. So you want to see that your occurrences are pending. Okay, so that's about it. Look, if you get into any strife, let us know. Get in touch. Otherwise, I hope that you find it not too painful to get your occurrences up for term 1 and 2 next year. Good luck with it, and I hope to see you sometime soon. Okay, bye.